Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Gopijana Vallabha Jaya Giri Varadhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Giri Varadhari Yashodanandana Jaya Vraja Janaranjana Jaya Yashodanandana Jaya Vraja Janaranjana Jaya Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunja Vihari Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Govinda Radha Govinda Radhe. Jaya Jagannath Jaya Jagannath Jai Baladev Jaya Subhadra. Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Gauranitai. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Jai Gaur Premanande. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udhirayet Nashtaprayesva Bhadresu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. Hare Krishna. So we're reading today from Śrimad Bhāgavatam, Canto 4, which is entitled, anybody want to guess? The Creation of the Fourth Order, for the fourth canto. We're reading from chapter 4, Sati quits her body, text 2. It's up there? Suridriksha pratighata durmana. Suhridriksha pratighata durmanaha sneha rudatya ashrukalatvihi vala sneha rudatya ashrukalativi vala bhavam bhavanya pratipurusham rusha Pradakshayati vaikshata jatave patuhu. Okay, we're gonna get it right. Pradakshati vaikshata jatave patuhu. Suhridriksha pratighata durmana. Sneha rudatya shrukalati vala bhavam bhavanya pratipurusham rusha pradakshya vaikshata jatave patu. We want to try? Suhridriksha Snehadrudatyashrukalat vihivala. Bhavam bhavanya pratipurusham rusha. Pradakshati vaikshata jatave patu. Suridridriksha pradighata durmana. Snehadrudak. Ladies? Anybody else? So we'll go to the synonyms. Suhrid Tridriksha, of the desire to see her relatives. Pratighata, the prevention. Durmanaha, feeling sorry. Snehat, from affection. Rudati, crying. Ashrukala, by drops of tears. Ati Vivala, very much afflicted. Bhavam, Lord Shiva. Bhavani, Sati. Aprati Purusham, without an equal or rival. Rusha, with anger. Pradakshati, to blast. Eva, as if. Aikshata, looked at. Jata ve patu, shaking. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Abhay Charanaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. Sati felt very sorry at being forbidden to go see her relatives at her father's house. And due to affection for them, tears fell from her eyes. Shaking and very much afflicted, she looked at her uncommon husband, Lord Shiva, as if she were going to blast him with her vision. Please repeat after me. Sati felt very sorry at being forbidden to go see her relatives at her father's house. And due to affection for them, tears fell from her eyes. Shaking and very much afflicted, she looked at her uncommon husband, Lord Shiva, as if she were going to blast him with her vision. Purport. The word aprati purusham used in this verse means one who has no equal. Lord Shiva has no equal in the material world in regard to equality towards everyone. His wife Sati knew that her husband was equal towards everyone, so why in this case was he so unkind to his wife that he did not allow her to go to her father's house? This distressed her more than she could tolerate, and she looked at her husband as if she were ready to blast him with her vision. In other words, since Lord Shiva is the Atma, Shiva also means Atma. It is indicated here that Sati was prepared to commit suicide. Another meaning of the word Apratipurusha is the personality who has no rival. Since Lord Shiva could not be persuaded to give her permission, Sati took shelter of a woman's last weapon, weeping, which forces a husband to agree to the proposal of his wife. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitam Scha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kantha Radha Kantha Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Shri Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Prade Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpadrubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Hare Krishna. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for coming to the daily Śrimad Bhāgavatam class. We are very honored to be able to serve this section or this Bhāgavatam. Before I'd like to start, I'd like to beg the blessings of all the senior devotees, all the senior Vaishnavas. May the right words come out of my mouth in the right spirit, in the mood of our previous acharyas, and in pleasure of Srila Prabhupada and his mood. So we're in a very interesting section of the Bhagavatam where now we're getting to the crux of the whole event of, and it's if you read the chapter title of this chapter, you may say it's a spoiler alert. No spoiler alert. So ultimately in this chapter, which I hope I'm not spoiling it for you, Sati quits her body. Actually, by 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 this kind of situation that she's put in. She hears Lord Shiva's words, and Sati is actually plunged into an ocean of frustration. She's very frustrated at this moment. In the last verse, Nataraja Gauranga Prabhu and Ramana Prabhu both spoke on the same verse, and it was saying that she is like a pendulum of a clock. Tick, tock, tick, tock. Whether to go this way or whether to go that way. She's moving around the room and she doesn't know what to do. She has this desire to go, but her husband, who is all auspicious, Lord Shiva, is telling her not to go. And she uses the last weapon, as Srila Prabhupada says, is took shelter of the Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Good. So I got to start the class again, right? So we're describing about the different ways that Krishna is saying that we fall into the problem of anger. So while contemplating on the objects of the senses, so let's just take the example of Sati. We can see this on in Daksha's part as well. Sati, what is the object of the sense, or what is she getting attached to in this circumstance? Relatives, going to the sacrifice, right? And from such attachment, lust develops, and from lust, anger arises. Now she is becoming angry, and from anger, delusion, bewilderment of memory. What happens after this? And she remembers this when she gets to Daksha's palace, when the sacrificial arena. She remembers the glory. She sees the huge amount of disrespect that Daksha by not even talking to Sati, she immediately starts glorifying Lord Shiva. If in the same chapter, you'll see Lord Shiva is the most blessed of all living entities. He has no rival. No one is dear to him, and no one is his enemy. No one but you could be envious of such a universal being who is free from all enmity. So she forgets this, and if she would just followed Shiva's advice, then actually she could be more benefited. And when memory is bewildered, intelligence is lost. And when intelligence is lost, one falls down again to the material pool. We can see the stages of anger also. The whole issue in this pastime is the proposal, is he said, man proposes, God disposes, So Lord Shiva has not accepted the proposal of Sati. And anger is arising because the desires are frustrated. So when we get angry, uh, we have to, when we get angry in our own lives, this is something that we can learn from this pastime. We can immediately ask, what is being frustrated? What is it actually being frustrated? So in the sadhana stage, we should not really get angered by such frustrations. Because why should we not get angered by such frustrations? Because that is the whole point of the world, right? We are put into this world because we want to desire and desire to enjoy like Krishna. So Krishna says, okay, tathastu, you can have a world where you can try to enjoy like me, but the whole point of the material world is for you to get frustrated at every single moment. At every single turn, you're supposed to get frustrated. Many atheists, they'll come up to devotees and say, if God was all perfect and we are created in the image of God, why are there so many problems in this world? But have you thought of the aspect that God maybe has created the problems of this world for some reason? And it is not that that makes the world imperfect. Om Purnam Adha Purnam Idam Purnam Eva Vasishyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnam Eva Vasishyate. This world is perfectly complete, and all emanation from this world are also perfectly complete. I always think of when I was thinking about Bhakti Shastri, we were trying to, because that verse Om Purnamada Purnam, it's just perfectly complete wholes, completely wholes, perfect, and it was just like it's a lot of things. So you can imagine like a pizza, think of something that's very dear to you. So you think of something like a pizza, and then so the spirit in the spiritual world, when you take a slice out of the pizza, that slice of pizza is a whole pizza in itself. So no matter if how much you take from this, and then the pizza that you originally took the slice from, that is still a complete pizza. So this is spiritual life, folks. No matter how much slices you take from the pizza stays whole. So Krishna's world is like this. Any emanation from him, just because Krishna has come to this world and display his pastimes, does not mean that Krishna is not still in the spiritual world. So same way in this material world, even though we see so many faults and things to get frustrated with, doesn't mean this world is perfect. Is not perfect. This world is completely perfect because it is meant to teach us one lesson, that we are not become quite unpredictable. Should I just have both of them on? This one died also? Okay. We're going to the switcheroo. Okay, I'll start again. Om Namo Bhagavate. So with anger, you become quite unpredictable. And you can notice in yourselves, everybody, you can start thinking about one time when you've gotten angry. Just think about it. One time where you've gotten angry. And look at the actions that came from that. You may maybe have said something that you didn't, that now in retrospect, you'd think like, okay, maybe I shouldn't have said that. Maybe you made someone feel bad that is unnecessarily bad, and that relationship that you had with them was broken, or you can't fix it. So it becomes even important to understand this anger is how to manage our desires and our proposals. So if you just think about this, I'll just speak because we're all practicing devotees. Even if our proposals are somewhat Krishna conscious, we shouldn't be so attached. Now we have this example of Sati. Sati is not going to like a soiree or like a party or this. Sati is going for what? A yajna, which is actually like for purification, you know. So it is a yajna for a sacrifice. I'm looking. Maybe Krishna Kripa Prabhu can enlighten us. I don't recall what the sacrifice was for that Daksha was doing. Yeah. Well, I was just wondering if it was a sacrifice for something else. Yeah. So he was doing they're doing a sacrifice for Lord Vishnu, or at least for one's own purification. And so Sati's going for that. She's not going for a party. But even then, Lord Shiva is saying, no, I don't think it's a good time you go. So this is actually a trade-off we kind of have to do in relationships and families. You know, like in the temple, we are in Krishna consciousness, we are part of the Krishna conscious family. That's why when we take initiation and second initiation, we have there's a thing called Gotra. Gotra means your family lineage, and then once you take initiation, your Gotra becomes Achyuta Gotra. You become the Lord's family. You become a part of Krishna's family. And this is a trade-off that we deal with in relationships and family, because what do we receive in a relationship? We receive shelter. We receive shelter, right? But we must accept things that we like and also we don't like. Am I making sense? That when you have, let's say you have a guru and disciple relationship. Now, what if I say that I will only accept my spiritual master when he gives me instructions that I like, but when he doesn't give me instructions that are a little hard for me to swallow, I think I need to find someone else. You know, it's not something I like to do. So in this way, that even if our proposals are frustrated, then actually we shouldn't be so much to throw the baby out with the bathwater, you know? We must understand that when we're working in a relationship, we're working with a level of shelter and love and trust. When you have love and trust with your spiritual authorities and your spiritual kind of guides, then actually it becomes very harmonious. But if there's some distrust between them, then actually, like if they give you a hard instruction, then you may be like, oh wait, why do I have to follow them again? And you're free, and everybody's free. And this is like Ardha Kuta Nyaya. You've heard of this, Ardha Kuta Nyaya? It means half hen philosophy. That the farmer takes the egg. Prabhupada used to say this. That Prabhupada accepts the egg of and he says, "Oh, this egg is so nice, but it's costing a lot of money to feed the chicken, you know. So let me just cut off the head. If I cut off the head, then I'll still get the egg, but it doesn't work like that." So, like Jayadeva Maharaj says, we can't take one aspect of Prabhupada and reject another aspect of Prabhupada. If you're saying Jay Prabhupada, you're jaying all aspects of Prabhupada. So if we have many people, like I'll just give you an example of one idea of just when we take that shelter, you know, like if I go up to my temple authority and I say, Prabhu, I desire to preach in China. They'd be like, wow, there's a Hadai Pran, he's pretty ambitious there. And then he may say, but what about Chinatown? Why not go to the Bowery and preach in Chinatown? So they look at different aspects when you have an authority, because your authority is by just logic. They're more free from the material modes than you, right? So why else would you accept them as a shelter? Why would you want to take shelter of somebody who's more bound than you, right? At least in spiritual life. So you're accepting them as somebody who is more free than you. Then they see all aspects. Okay, if Hadai Pran wants to go and preach in China, what will happen to kind of his sadhana? Will we get association of devotees? What will happen to his current service that he's doing in New York? What will happen to the devotees so if Hadai Pran wants to preach in China, maybe Jayananda wants to go preach in Mongolia. It goes on and on. So in that way, the authority it's supposed to take the kind of like a very whole-rounded understanding of who you are. That is what it actually means to be shelter. This is I'm learning from. I'm reading this book by Devaki Mataji, Sheltering Relationships, and it's actually really, really nice. And that what it means to provide shelter for other people, and what it means to accept shelter from someone else. Because in Krishna consciousness, we have to do both. We have to accept. We have to provide shelter for people. Like for example, we're doing this marathon now. We're doing distributing books. What are we doing? We're distributing these books, and we're telling people, please accept the shelter of Krishna. And we're providing that shelter for them. And also, what it means to be sheltered ourselves. So if we work outside of shelter, like if we work outside of shelter and we think we have it all down ourselves, then now point number one, you're not accepting what Krishna is recommending. Krishna's system that he's recommending is tad vidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshina. Krishna himself is saying that if you want to learn this highest truth, you have to submit yourself unto a jnaninas tattvadarshi, one who has seen the truth, But if we think that we can know the truth ourselves, then actually we're just going to, we're not accepting what Krishna is saying, first of all. And second, we may get very mixed results. We may get very, very mixed results. But if you're always under shelter, then actually it becomes quite easy. Like Srila Prabhupada would say when he was a grihastha, the train conductor was coming, and one of his sons, the train conductor jokingly asked one of his sons, "Where is your ticket, sir?" And then he says, "I do not have any ticket, but my father is over here, So same way, when you're working under shelter, you say, I may not have any qualification, but here's my authority. You can speak to him. He has qualification. And so on. Then your authority will say, no, I'm not, it's not my qualification, under his qualification. So on. Like my spiritual master would say sometimes, why do we say, I think I said this in the last class too, that why do we say our spiritual master's pranam mantra when we're paying obeisances to the deities? He says, because we want to let the deity know who let us in the door, who allowed us to be here, who allowed us to come here. And under their authority, we're doing this. That's why, for example, like we have, like in Alachua, I remember my father sent me a beautiful picture. It was of the deities, and in front of the deities, they have who dressed that day. Like this and this person dressed Radha Shamsundar, this person dressed Krishna Balaram, this person dressed Gaur Nitai. But the way they phrased it is actually quite, it shows an amazing part of their philosophy. They say that these people served their spiritual, like Hadai Pran Das served their spiritual master in serving Radha Govinda. You see the shift in mood. It is not me, like that's why we have our picture of our our spiritual master when we're on the altar, it is not me who is offering the service. What can I do with my body of blood, urine, stool? But what is our spiritual master? Nikunja yuno ratikeli siddhi ya yali bhir yukti apexaniya tatrati dhakshat ativallabhasya vande guru sri charanarvindam. He is our spiritual master is actually a dear servant of Radha and Krishna, and they have qualification to do service to Radha and Krishna. And so they are similarly praying to their spiritual master. And by this, in this way, shelter is there. But if you work outside of that shelter and you say that I can figure this out, it's just me and Krishna, then you're actually in a very dangerous position. Very dangerous position. Even in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, in the Antya Leela, there's Sarup Damodar and the Bengali poet who was writing verses, and then Sarup Damodar, he says this very beautiful verse: Jaha Bhāgavata pado Vaishnavera sthane ekante ashraya koro Chaitanya charane. He says, Yaha Bhagavat pado. He says, go study Bhagavatam with what? Vaishnavera sthane, where there's a place of Vaishnavas. Ekanta ashraya koro, one pointed shelter. What should you do? Take shelter of Chaitanya charane. Take shelter of the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya. If you want to understand Bhagavatam, he said, you must approach a self-realized Vaishnava and hear from him. You can do this when you have completely taken shelter of Lord Chaitanya. This is actually full of Chaitanya Charitamrita. There's a beautiful lecture series by His Holiness Swami Bhagavan Keshav Maharaj called Developing a Community of Love. And this lecture series is all about taking examples from the Chaitanya Charitamrita and how their relationships were working. There's the relationship between Sarup Damodar and of Sanatana Goswami and Lord Chaitanya, about the Vaishnava principles and so on and so forth. So if you look at, just take the Chaitanya Charitamrita in whole, it is all a kind of who is taking shelter of whom. Even Lord Chaitanya, for example, Sanatana Goswami, he says, I have committed so many offenses, let me throw my body under the Rath Yatra cart. Lord Chaitanya says, you fool, your body is not even yours, your body belongs to me, what do you think you're doing? That's how much shelter these people were under. So even if our Krishna conscious proposals get frustrated, we shouldn't be detached from the idea, we should be kind of detached from the idea of what we want to do, and should be attached to the mood in what the service was going to be done. You understand? So when we are performing service, it's not so much like okay, one person is cooking in the kitchen, one person's going on Harinam, one person's doing this, but so we have so many varieties of services. But if we have a proposal and we're like, okay, I want to do this, and they're like, and our authority says, okay, maybe it's not the best idea right now, we should be attached to our enthusiasm for what we wanted to do that service for, and apply that enthusiasm into our current services. And then one day, Krishna will reveal ways to make that service possible in different ways. So anger has to be given up in this way. What is that in Bhagavad Gita? Trividham narakasyedam dvaram nashanam atmanaha kama krodha tata lobhas tasmat etat trayam trijet. There are 3 gates leading to hellish life: kama, krodha, and lobha. Lust, anger, and greed. And if these 3 things are given up, then actually your life becomes actually quite very, very amazing. So, but also we can't, when we think of anger, we think it's very black and white. Either we get angry or we don't. But if you categorize our angers into kind of like different ways of how anger is perceived, actually it becomes more healthier actually to deal with them. Like let's say anger as an emotion. Like, let's say somebody says something that I really don't like. Let's say someone says my nose is big, it is, but but someone says you had a big nose. I'm like, okay, that made me quite angry. And then but what is the problem that is happening? That I am thinking that I am the body. I am investing my emotions into this body. And if I invest my emotions in this body, then anything someone says about my body, you will get angry. So, and if you change our mindset into like there's investing and de-investing, and start to de-invest in things that really don't matter, and de-investing in things that don't matter, actually all these things just glide over. That's how pure devotees do it. They just de-invest. You know, they okay. You make fun of my body. Okay, I'm not this body anyway. You make fun of my speech. Okay, I'm not such a good. And even better, you de-invest by thinking about other great devotees' investment. Like, okay, this Prabhu is saying I'm not so good at mridanga, but who is the best mridanga player? Lord Shiva was an amazing mridanga player. And then you just think of pure devotees. Oh, maybe I'm not so smart, but who is the smartest? Krishna is the smartest. You somehow you dovetail that in that action. Now next, after emotion is action. I'll stop with this. That you have more control actually than your emotions, than your speech. Like, let's say I get angry with Phil, and then I go and I want to show my anger towards Phil. And how do I show my anger towards Phil? Well, I could go and rough him up, or even worse, I can say something. I can say something that is even rude to him. And actually, if we look at the words of the Bhāgavatam, you remember this pastime of Dhritarashtra and Vidura. He's saying the words are like arrows. And then we must be able to control those angers. So even if it's in your mind, like they say in Kali Yuga, it's so beautiful that even offenses in the mind don't count. You've heard this? Yes? But I have a caveat that may kind of ruin that statement, that offenses in the mind don't count, but if it's in the mind long enough, somehow or another, it will come out. If you dhyayato vishaya pumsam, like if you just think about it long enough, somewhere or other, you're going to put that anger out in the world. And if you put that anger out in the world, whether that's to that person that you're angry towards, or in some other way, this is actually a big issue. So anger, action, anger as emotion, anger as action, anger as energy. So if you break it down into categories, it's much easier to control. Anyway, it's we, especially in the temple, we must be very careful about how we get anger. It's better to have a cool head, leave people with very good impressions and Vaishnav qualities. If we get unnecessarily angry, Prabhupada actually is not so pleased. Now you may come up to me, and I was thinking about it myself. What would you say about Srila Prabhupada? He used to get angry, right? He used to display anger, and I found one nice quotation. This is from I'll Build You a Temple by Giriraj Maharaj. I'll just read it out loud. Navayogendra reflected on what Prabhupada had told him. His anger was only for our rectification, he saw. In the material world, people get happy, but Prabhupada's anger was not like theirs. He was a pure devotee and knew the value of this human life, that this human form is meant for self-realization, and we should not waste even a second. We should cultivate Krishna consciousness all the time. If he saw that his disciples were not acting properly, he would get angry for their rectification. The anger he showed was for us. He never carried it with him. It was instructive anger. He had no anger in him other than anger and anxiousness for seeing that Krishna and his spiritual master were nicely served. So this is, if you want to get angry, you have this, but this is you're allowed to. I'm giving you full permission to get angry, but let it be under this qualification, that let it be fully, for not a tinge of animosity or envy towards anybody else. Let it be anger for purely for the service of Krishna. Never frustration or this. And if you're ever getting frustrated, anger, de-invest in that thing. Maybe it's not supposed to be like that. Workarounds bring turnarounds. Never do ultimatums. Unless it's my way, I'm leaving. It has to be my way or the highway. All great managers and great devotees always see that there's always a workaround to be done. So in this way, where we can learn this instruction from Sati, is that this anger that she's feeling towards not going or not going, it's investment into the material, and this is a very nice lesson that we can learn from this about anger. So I'll stop there. Is there any comments, questions, or corrections that I can that may expand the conversation more and more? I see Arjunanda, Vasily, either or. Vasily, Prabhu, or there's Mike right there behind you. You want to use it?
I remember somebody was saying that Prabhupada would always agree whenever somebody came to him with any sort of proposition, especially if they were emotionally invested in it. He would be like, say yes immediately, and then later on he would sometimes agree or sometimes not. But